Welcome to the Master Communicator podcast. This is Stacy McKibben, where CEOs, C-suites, senior level VPs, and executives come together to share their ideas. It's 6 questions in 9 minutes because the best leaders know how to share their ideas concisely and quickly. Let's jump right in. Question number 1, tell the audience who you are and what you do.
First of all, thanks for having me. My name is Eric Berman. I am the CEO of Brandetize, and we are a full-service digital marketing agency.
Oh, wow. How long have you guys been doing that?
Well, the Brandetize has been around since 2015, so I guess that would be, we're in year 6 right now, but doing these kind of services and leading digital marketing teams, I've been doing that really since the internet started back in 1997, 98. So it's been since the birth.
That's amazing. As my son would say, back in the 1900s.
Yeah, exactly. Last century, years ago, wherever. Yeah.
Yeah, before Y2K. So you've
I
seen
was actually
quite a
thinking of
bit.
Y2K. Yeah, I was thinking of Y2K this morning and how like everybody panicked about that. That was pretty funny. Yeah.
Pretty entertaining for sure. I remember that. I was a big part of that. Question number 2, what's the best thing from your perspective about leading people?
The best thing about leading people is just seeing people learning and growing and getting them to feel like they're making a difference out there and watching people go from point A to B and just really just achieving good results. It's almost like the proud parent sort of situation.
Yeah. That's so great. I love when I hear leaders talk about the value, and the exciting part is how helping other people to get better, right?
Yeah.
That ability to see other people perform, that's pretty powerful stuff. And again, that's really, I think, at the core of leadership is how well are other people doing as a result of your leadership, not, just following you because your title tells them they have to, right?
Yeah, and really achieving a common vision and goal together as a team is obviously way more fun than doing it on your own, and it's just a joy, a collective joy.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, and it's funny, that leads me to question number 3, which I think is pretty funny sometimes, is that I'll often hear from other leaders that business would be great if it weren't for all the people part. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on something like that?
Well, it's a catch-22. And sometimes, we all do get frustrated. But, I live by the motto of I am responsible. At the end of the day, if there's any frustration out there, what is it that I could have done to have made a difference? You know, as an entrepreneur, I can have millions of ideas, which I constantly do, and I have a list of them. And every time I go to an idea, I think back and say, well, gosh, in order for me to get there faster, it's going to be great to be surrounded by other amazing people. And I can't get there without them. So it's a true partnership. And so, as much as it's frustrating at times, what can you do in advance, and what kind of responsibility can I take to make sure that those kind of issues are don't happen very often, and then we have a much smoother ride.
Again, you're back to, from a leadership perspective, what can I be doing to positively influence that change, as opposed to just like, why can't they get better at that? Right.
Right.
And so I really appreciate that. I think a lot of us leaders out there, we need that reminder that common sense isn't common. And, it's our job to meet people where they are, not to try to pull them up to where we are. That's why we make the big bucks, right, Eric? As leaders. Question number 4. What other successful business leaders like yourself should be on the podcast? Who else do you think people would like to hear from and learn from?
Well, gosh, I think it's good to get a good variety of people at different levels. Certainly, I always love learning from people who are running companies that are many employees. But I also really enjoy right now. My team is 35, so I love talking and hearing from other entrepreneurs that are I can relate to more, that are dealing with companies of my size. I think just having a variety of different leaders, different positions, we can all take something from each other. People are running big companies, it's amazing because they get a lot of corporations that forget some things that are some of the leaders running a smaller teams are doing. So it's just having, I think, a good variety of different folks.
Yeah, I think that's really important too. Is there anybody in particular you think that I should look up for the show, or that should be a guest on the show?
Well, I have a lot of people in my EO forum, my entrepreneur organization forum, that
EO is great.
I mean,
Hmm.
I think more of the local, my brother, who is under all sorts of fun stories. Yeah. So
Okay, cool. Well, hopefully, folks that will go and look some of those folks up, and certainly, I encourage people to check out Entrepreneurs Organization. It's a fantastic organization, and provisors as well. So there's lots of really good ones out there. And I just think, again, being connected to your community, like you say, and getting your insights from different people in different organization sizes, it just all informs who we get to become, right? Who
yeah,
used to say,
and of course my clients, and I forget my clients, managing guys like Jack Canfield and Brian Tracy. I was just actually at
yeah,
Brian Tracy's house. I mean, he's been
shut up.
teaching leadership forever. So, certainly I forgot what's right in front of my face. Duh.
Exactly. Sometimes it's like it's right there the whole time, right? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Please, if people don't know already about Brian Tracy or Jack Canfield, go research them in spades and buy every single one of their books. They're all amazing. I still quote Jack Canfield in terms of he's got a great quote about commitment. 99% is a bitch, 100% is a breeze. And I use that quite a bit to
Nice.
talk about just how important it is to commit to people and to commit to your goals and things like that. So that's great. Thank you for sharing that. Question number 5, what piece of advice about communication would you give to other leaders?
I think it's the other side, which I completely it's probably the biggest area I need to continue growing is the listening part. And even though I struggle with, even though I feel like I'm listening and I get the message quickly and I'm ready to move on, it's the perception from my team that I'm not really hearing them. And I think showing that I'm really listening goes a long way because it just helps with the overall, back to the morale of the team. So I think being able to be patient enough, slow down, and really listen, that part of the communication is what I feel like I definitely need to work on. And I think a lot of other leaders I've talked to can also do the same.
I love that one in particular because I feel like as leaders, we're often charged a lot with having the opinions and making the decisions and having the thoughts that
Mhm.
then it's just our default reaction. And you couldn't hit the nail more on the head when you talk about just this whole idea of really listening. I think sometimes we miss giving really great direction because we don't necessarily have all the information or all the data, or we don't ask great questions to dig a little bit deeper. So I really appreciate that perspective. Um,
Yeah.
I think a leadership, we struggle with that one a little bit more because we're tasked always with having the answers. So I
And plus, we have a
listen.
million things that we're trying to get to the next thing too, and so it's just
Exactly.
we got to slow down. Yeah.
Exactly. Got to slow down. All right. My favorite question, magic question number 6. Tell us about your favorite boss or teacher. I'm curious who has been influential and led you in your life.
Yeah, I think my favorite, teacher boss, it goes back to right out of college when the first company that I sort of helped co-found, where we went from 3 of us to 400 employees in my 20s. It was the first original Facebook / MySpace called College Club, was before all these other ones, and
Oh,
I
that's
got an opportunity
great.
to learn and grow from somebody. His name was and
What was his name?
Michael Posty.
Uh-huh.
I was a San Diego entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot of things. I appreciate a lot of things. He taught me. When you're in your 20s, taking your first job and your first experience, you're so moldable, and you all have an ego and all the other things and insecurities and all these things that go along with your life when you get out of college. And learning some fundamentals was great. But it's funny because the other person we would learn from are guys like Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins. So I got hands-on learning, but I also learning from other gurus and listening when I was in my early 20s, and that's where I learned a lot of life skills, the kind of stuff they don't teach you in college and high school. They did. So you get that. The bottom line is there's a lot of stuff out there to learn and we can grow from. And I think if people don't devote enough time to themselves and personal development, I think they're missing out on
Absolutely. I totally agree. I couldn't agree more. And I love that a former employer was bringing the idea together of, how do we listen and grow from some of the greats in the world around us, as opposed to, again, kind of wall gardening ourselves off, really kind of imparting amongst the team the importance of, working harder on yourself than on your job, right? As Jim Rohn, I'm sure, has shared with you many times. That's one of his big ones.
We used to have um, we used to have learning hour from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. And if you were late, you had to bring breakfast the next day.
You're serious about that. I like that. That's great. Well, that's good. Well, thank you so much for being on, Eric. I really appreciate it. Let us know, how can people find you if they wanted to get to know you a bit more? How could they find you?
Well, I guess two different ways. My company is Brandetize, so brandetize.com, or if it's easier, you can just go to my name, ericberman.com, ericberman.com, and I have links to everything I do there.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. And this is Stacey McKibben with the Master Communicator podcast. For more insights and ideas, please go to www.concilioteam.com and you'll get all your answers there. We look forward to seeing you next time.